Okay, we're talking about the inflammation solution, and if we can get somebody to turn out the lights, that would be good. Inflammation solution just kind of means we're going to talk a little bit about what causes inflammation. I don't know if people have heard this story about the brain, but I had a guy who had so much inflammation on his brain, he felt like his brain was on fire. And it was a parasite that was causing it, called an amoeba. And amoebas kind of slither in and out of the tissues, and they were eating and causing all kinds of problems. And by killing off the parasite and getting the inflammation down, his brain stopped burning, and his family was extremely happy because he'd been going to doctors for 10 years with this problem, and none of them could figure out what it was, but it was a parasite on his brain. I think I'm going to have to shrink that just a little bit. Okay. Now this kind of talks about how all of us are having problems with inflammation. 60% of people have been diagnosed with a chronic inflammatory disease or cancer. And cancer, in my opinion, is an inflammatory disease mixed with a lot of toxic buildup and wastes and parasites and fungus and viruses, all kinds of stuff. And one of the things they're really talking about a lot more is the microbiome being our intestinal flora has changed and has caused a lot of things to get into our systems that didn't used to get in. We used to digest things, and then they would digest them into the smallest components, the minerals, the amino acids, and the vitamins, and then we would absorb these things because our microbiome, or our good bacteria and good fungus, would help us digest our food. And now it's been altered with all the herbicides, pesticides, sugars, all those kind of things. And sugars is one of the main problems. Boy, I'm right in sync with my slides. This is good. Bad sugars actually mutate the good bacteria and make them into bad bacteria. And so this is kind of interesting. You know, we used to have the description an apple a day would keep the doctor away. Now that we irradiate the apples, there's no vitality in the apples anymore. And nothing wants to eat them, so they'll last for years. My daughter-in-law worked for a accounting firm that would actually go to these big warehouses where they would store food that had been irradiated. And literally you could store it for years because all of the good stuff had been killed off, so nothing would eat it. And so these apples would look perfect for years. And they don't disintegrate anymore, which is quite sad because now even our fruits and vegetables are becoming just as bad as eating a donut. And that doesn't mean I'm saying go out and eat donuts now, because I don't advocate that. But the problem we're having is they're not only genetically modifying our food, but they're irradiating the food, and they're creating sterilization of the food. The seeds have a kill in them now, and so they won't even regrow seeds.
How do you know how they do that?
Well,
there's a lot of orchards around, like in Santa Quinn and that, and we get apples down here and that.
Yeah.
Are they? They're just
well,
farmers.
We better find out, because if they do irradiate them, I wouldn't buy them. Yeah. One of the plans Vicki and I have, we're building a house, and we are going to get an orchard going that does not have these problems, so we can go out and pick our fruit and know that where it came from, what it does, everything else. Reducing inflammation.
Question.
Oh, go ahead.
How do you irradiate an apple?
Oh, they just put her through an X-ray machine like they do us through the airports.
Oh, okay.
Literally, they're finding more and more people.
That's what ultra pasteurized cream and milk is.
Yeah, yeah.
Ultra pasteurized.
It's irradiated. So one of the biggest things you can do to reduce inflammation is reduce your intake of processed sugar and processed sugar products. And so That's one of the biggest ways to reduce inflammation. A lot of people, if I could just get them to reduce their sugar, their inflammation will go down.
Scott?
Yes.
Maybe this doesn't fit right now, but remember that article a while ago from that heart surgeon?
Yes.
And after how many years and 5,000 or 6,000 surgeries, he decided that inflammation causes the heart problems, not cholesterol.
Yes. Cholesterol is a myth, and I'll probably have the FDA come after me for making that statement, but I don't care because it's true. Cholesterol was made as a scapegoat so they could use statin drugs. And statin drugs have been shown and proven to harm muscle tissue, including the heart. So statins may in fact be treating what they say heart disease, but in fact causing heart problems. So it's crazy. Now, increasing your good fats. Thank goodness, 2 days ago, Monday, I saw a study done by Harvard that said omega-3s are good for you. There was a study like 3 months ago that came out and said fish oils are not good for you because they aren't any better than olive oil, which was what they were putting it up against. And so since there was no difference, that they in the media they said it's not any good for you. But the problem was olive oil and fish oils are both good for you. So it's crazy what they do these studies and they tell us over the television that something's not good for you because, in this studies. But I looked at the study and it's crazy what they're doing. They're trying to lie to us to make us believe things are not good for us that actually are good for us. Go ahead.
And just back to the sugar real quick. The pomegranates are on right now, and we have an organic tree, and so I eat like 2 or 3, but that's the only sugar I'm eating right now.
Yeah.
Like,
pomegranates
and
are
they're very sweet.
so good for you. In the Bible, it talks about pomegranates having everything the whole body needs. And every pomegranate has 214 seeds. And I learned this in Israel from a farmer there, that our body has 714 different muscle groups, bones, ligaments, all the different things. Same amount of the seeds in the pomegranate. And God made the pomegranate to bless every bit of our body.
And it looks like red blood cells.
Yeah, it's a fascinating story that I heard when I was traveling in Israel. Because we were drinking pomegranate juice, eating pomegranates right and left, and it just made us feel so good and energized. And so this guy told us this story from the Old Testament.
They look like red blood cells. I have a friend that teaches the science of nature, the signatures of food.
Yes, and
the food actually
looks like what it's helping. And yes, they look like little red blood corpuscles, they call them. And they feed our body oxygen. They carry away the carbon dioxide. The blood does a lot of, it circulates everything, toxins out, good things in. And so having good blood, which I believe pomegranate does help your blood, among other things, it's really good for your heart, and probably because it circulates everything so much better. So pomegranates, go ahead and eat all you want. I can't wait for this time of year.
Pomegranate juice, that it's all boiled and pasteurized.
Yeah, it's better to eat the whole pomegranate. Yeah. Yeah. So the omega-3s, the salmon, the flounder, the herring, the sardines. There was a guy in Russia that lived to be he's still alive, 136 years old, and he asked him, well, how do you stay so healthy, and how come you're living so long? You know what he said? I eat sardines and crackers. So I think the sardines are helping him more than the crackers. But it's fascinating. They've got down here wheat germ. We've actually changed the wheat a little bit, so be careful what kind of wheat you get even. Avocados. Avocados look just like the uterus, and they provide an oil that is in no other plant called cetyl myristoylic acid, and it's really good for the joints. It's really good for the uterus. It's good for your whole body. And so eating an avocado every day is really good for you. Flax seeds. Now I tell people to sprout the flax seeds, because when you sprout them, if you look with Carillion photography, you sprout your seeds, they actually increase the vitality. So Vicki and I, we put our seeds in a cup of purified water, blessed water, you know, and put it in the fridge overnight, and it sprouts. And then we process it with our food processor or our Vitamix, you know, and it's much, much better for you. Nuts and nut butters. Nuts are amazing. And we started actually sprouting our nuts. We would put them in water for 24 hours and eat them after they've been sprouted. And you'd be amazed at how much better they taste. It's quite fascinating. I love it. Okay. The bad fats are your animal fats. I would not put butter over here. I'd put butter over here, because especially organic butter. French fries, deep fried foods, you know, partially hydrogenated. Those are the bad fats, and they actually increase inflammation. These decrease inflammation. So it's pretty cool. And I'd like to thank Jeanette, because she helped me find the handout. So, and it's got some good information in it. What's in your microbiome? It's the stuff that lives on your skin and in your intestinal tract. The more variety you have, the better. Years ago, we used to use raisins and plums to help. You know, we need to probably make a couple more handouts. Raisins and plums were great, because you'd eat them, they'd help get your intestines moving, they were nutritious for you. And then came Monsanto and started spraying these herbicides. They talked the grape growers into spraying the plants, and so it's interesting, because years ago raisins tested really good. And when I say tested, I test everything with kinesiology to see whether it's good or bad for me. And it's interesting, because years ago it tested really good for me, but in probably the last 9 years, raisins haven't tested as good. Neither have prunes, unless they're organically grown. And luckily, Vicky's mom has access to a bunch of grapes, and we make our own grapes, and they haven't been sprayed. They're natural grown raisins, and they test really good, and I love them because they help the system. But they found in the grape rind, the actual the skin of the grape is resveratrol, and resveratrol has been shown to turn off inflammation and turn off the genes that turn on to give us cancer. So if your doctor says, oh, you got genes that's going to make you have ovarian cancer or breast cancer, so I recommend getting your breast removed before that happens. No, just eat good organic grapes. Because that has resveratrol, or take a supplement with resveratrol in it. Fascinating stuff, but it's that outer layer that is so rich in these, and that's why wines help. The French outlived Americans by 10 years because they drink a lot of wine, which has resveratrol in it. So, there's reasons why everything happens. So our microbiome is really important. The reason I show this slide is sugar turns every one of these things into a bad bacteria. Like Strep thermophilus, it turns it into Strep mutans. Mutans means it's mutated. And even the medical profession sees this. This actually helps keep our teeth from getting cavities. Strep mutans causes cavities. Interesting, just by sugar converting that. And sugar changes everything in our intestines and is causing a tremendous amount of inflammation just due to that. Because when our microbiome isn't right and we get that inflammation, we can get leaky gut, and we get proteins and all kinds of stuff into our system that aren't supposed to be there, because we're supposed to digest them first and then bring them in. But now we're getting leaky gut and leak these things into our system. So these proteins, we don't even have the enzymes to break them down once they get in our bloodstream, and they cause inflammation. So that's another thing that we have to look at. And this just quickly goes through the strep mutans and spirochetes, bad breath, all kinds of stuff. You know, the dentists are having a heyday. Tooth and gum disease have been shown to cause inflammation in the blood vessels. Now, what they found was the bacteria that get into the bloodstream, they're atypical bacteria, and they cause tooth and gum diseases. And when you brush your teeth, if you're bleeding from your gums, you've got a major problem. In the old style of homeopathic medicine, bleeding gums is a sign you've got heart disease. Why? Because those bleeding gums are due to bad bacteria in your mouth, and they get in your blood every time you brush your teeth, and even when you're chewing and everything else, and they get in your blood and they go to the heart and all the other organs, and they cause inflammation and damage, and it continues, and then our blood vessels narrow down due to the inflammation. The plaque comes if it gets damaged, because of the inflammation they kind of split, and our body comes by and puts cholesterol and stuff over that. Now, that's the only way the doctors could really say, oh, you know, you got a cholesterol problem. But it's interesting, because as many people have heart attacks that don't have high cholesterol that do have high cholesterol. So cholesterol isn't really the thing. It's the inflammation and the bad bacteria. So let's go on. Now, I talked a little bit about this because the hunter-gatherer, you know, we'd eat berries and seeds and nuts and fish and different things when we were hunter-gatherers. And our bodies were actually made to do that and have game, but we weren't made to eat wheat and breads and all the things that we've created. Our bodies originally needed raw material, and we're getting processed material, and processed material causes inflammation. So, and it also reduces the diversity of our intestines. We get more yeast because of the sugar, and the yeast kills off the good bacteria and so forth and so on. And so we're having a lot of problems. So changing the flora back is really good, and they found convalescing the intestines helps, because you drink a broth rather than eating sugars, and the broth has all the nutrients, because you put the bones in this pot and you boil them, and it releases all of the good minerals, so your intestines doesn't have to digest them. They're just good, and they're there, and they're available, and you can get them into your body, and they help your body heal. It takes 3 to 5 days to totally heal the gut. It takes longer to heal the body, but you got to start with your gut. So we've been starting a lot of people on broth. We call them broth fasts, because all you do is drink the broth, and it actually helps your body. A lot of people get more energy when you do this, because they're actually getting some nutrition, because instead of just getting a bunch of sugars and processed proteins that we can't digest, they actually get some nutrition in there they can use, and minerals. So, and they're finding most of the probiotics have too few organisms, because when you get fungus in there, you throw 30 billion at them and it's just feeding the fungus. But if you throw 300 million in there, or even a billion of the good bacteria, it can make a dent in the fungus.
Which one of our products does that?
Well, the MBC is the only one, and then the next best is the Primal Defense. And they're expensive, because they've got more. It's like one pill of the systemics is like taking 10 of the other lower probiotics. I still like the Multidophilus, because throwing some in there is better than not throwing any. And it's got a lot of different species and everything, so I like products that have at least 8 to 12 or even 16 different varieties, because variety of bacteria is the best. Variety is the spice of life.
How do you feel about sauerkraut?
Sauerkraut, any kind of fermented food.
Probiotics.
fermentation is caused by either fungus or bacteria. And most of the good fermented foods have good fungus and good bacteria in them. Kombucha is a good fungus. And it actually helps create B vitamins and get things into your system. So I love kombucha and fermented stuff. Sauerkraut, Vicki started fermenting stuff in our kitchen. And instead of cooking things in the microwave, which we never do, we have fermented products sitting in our microwave now. And they get rotated, you know, and it's good to eat fresh fermented stuff. By fresh, I mean, you know, within a week of starting the
That stuff
culture.
we'd ordinarily throw out. You look in there and you see that.
No, you have to.
Now, a lot of stuff in your fridge, it's getting eaten by fungus. You look at it and these spores are growing up. You know, you see that, those white filaments and stuff. That's a fungus growing.
Oh, yeah.
And fungus deteriorates the food and makes it useless. So it actually, but it's a sign of good food, because at least the fungus wants to eat it. You know, we should eat it before the fungus gets to it. So, cleaning up our environment and our body and getting rid of the toxins. I use this veggie wash that we carry, and it is a type of surfactant. Surfactant means surface active. It creates less of a cohesion factor, so it washes off all the petroleum products, and it can clean off all of these toxins that we're getting on our foods. Even organic fields, the wind blows the toxins from the ones that are getting sprayed over onto our organic ones. And so I recommend to people, even if you're buying organic, spray it. When we buy, we get Bountiful baskets, but we always pay the extra $10 for the organic. And it's so interesting, because you'll look at the ones that aren't organic and they just look beautiful, you know, and you open up your organic one and it's already starting to rot, and you're going, what the heck, you know, here I paid an extra $10, but every time I've tested with kinesiology, the organic box is better for me, because it doesn't have the pesticides and herbicides, and it doesn't look as good because it starts degrading as soon as it's picked, because it's really good for the bacteria and the fungus. They love it too, and they start immediately making it look not quite as good as the other. But it is, when I test with kinesiology, it always tests 10 times better than these things that look really nice. And so just appearance doesn't mean it's still good. It's like the apples. Those apples, they look just delicious. But if you put them under Kirlian photography, they're dead, because they've been irradiated. And they look good because nothing wants to eat them. I know, it's kind of interesting.
Like plastic or something.
Yeah, they're almost like it's like eating plastic. Which, by the way, we were reading some stuff yesterday about them putting silicone. Silly putty is made out of silicone.
Yeah.
And they're putting silicone in what product was it?
Oh gosh. Oh, I can't remember now.
It's a common product that we eat.
Yeah.
And it's like silly putty. They make silly putty out of it.
Yeah, I can't remember.
It's crazy. So we'll all be bouncing off the walls like silly putty. Anyway, I like to teach people to do healthy mantras, because that decreases inflammation. Believe it or not, if you get real angry and pissed off and you know, have troubles with your spouse, and you're just going around just feeling frustrated, creates inflammation. Our emotions can create inflammation. So I say in my mind or out loud every time I'm going to the bathroom, I release the toxins in my body. When I breathe, I release toxic vapors from my system, transmuting the bad and bringing in healing prana and oxygen. When we eat food, I bless the food and cleanse and detoxify my body. When we drink, I bless this fluid to cleanse and detoxify my body. You know, these are things we can do, and then go into all the different types of healers helps decrease inflammation. When you go get a massage, when you get acupuncture, when you get any kind of modality, it reduces inflammation.
Scott, are those mantras included in this handout?
No.
You talk
But
fast, can't write
I
it
know,
down.
I talk really fast. But If you want, I can send you a copy of the slides. Then you have them. You know, if you have a PowerPoint, you can get the slides. Here's fermented food, kombucha and medicinal mushrooms, essential oils and blends, reduce inflammation, probiotics, good cultures of good bacteria, single herbs, herbal combinations. You know what's interesting? I could give somebody the totally wrong herb for them, and it wouldn't hurt them. It wouldn't make them get more inflammation, because all of these have vital force and vitality in them. That's why I love doing this, because, you know, first do no harm. So we do no harm. It's nice to know intuitively what people need, though. It's fascinating. Liver cleanses, kidney cleanses, lymphatic drainage, heavy metal chelating, petrochemical and plastic cleansing, healing gems, blessed trinkets and items, protective amulets and devices, surrounding yourself with high vibrating human beings. You know, they found that when we associate with people who are higher vibrating, we go away with less pain, because we go away with less inflammation. It takes a tribe to heal. We're all in this together. We're all one. Good things come to those who cleanse, and when your parasites are dead, they don't get in your head. You know, you got to reduce the bad stuff in your body. Good books fill our thoughts with good healing energy. Books with infused energy can help us heal. I didn't realize this, but when I was writing my book, the angels actually infused the energy of healing into the book and the pages, and so it vibrates really high, which is good. And there's several books that do vibrate very high. Stop watching TV, because it shows us all the bad stuff that's going on, and it surprises me. But most of the shows that people just love on TV are the worst shows possible. I mean, Breaking Bad was one of the best shows on TV about making methamphetamine, and I tell you, that is one of the worst drugs on the planet, because I call it Satan's serum, because it makes you do everything you shouldn't. And people don't have control, because they have no conscience when they're taking this drug. And here it is, the best show on TV according to the main population of America. So stop watching these bad shows and stuff. I watched the first episode, and I was appalled. You're this teacher, you know, he's supposed to be teaching our children, and he starts making math. Oh, it's crazy. Detoxing is a lifelong process. We all should be detoxing all the time and saying good mantras and cleaning our food. Cellular memory is an energetic imprint of emotions, whether positive or negative. And to release cellular memory requires your intent and purpose. And visualization of releasing these thoughts or emotions is the most powerful. Imprinting new codes. Basically, talk to your body. Love your body. Say good things to your body. You know, one of my favorite sayings is, I am younger, stronger, healthier, more beautiful every day. Now, who wouldn't want that in their life? So, you know, say these kind of things. Cancel negative thoughts before they incorporate into your body. And stop living unconsciously. Make constant choices with your intent and with your actions. Desire to cleanse and do things to take back your health. And stop living in the illusion. What I found out, and what's interesting, is we started reading the Saint Germain series that was written back in the 1930s. And it's so interesting. The ayahuasca taught me a whole bunch of stuff. And when I read the Saint Germain series, it said the same stuff. And these are electrical bodies of light, sound, and electricity. And when the ayahuasca showed me the illusion, it's all these little nicely patterned colors of energy and electricity. And when we take and put our intent to create something, it takes these particles and actually puts them together into what we desire. And then it starts making form, starts actually creating the mass to create that. And then the next step, it creates it in our reality. And so if we live in the illusion, we don't create much. But if we pull ourselves out of the illusion and start creating, we actually start building a life that we desire. So stop living in the illusion. Contaminated air causes inflammation. Eating foods or beverages contaminated with bacteria, parasites, viruses, fungus, petrochemicals, heavy metals, heavy isotopes. I just had my body tested 2 nights ago. I have a chiropractic friend, and I knew the radiation was starting to affect my thyroid. And sure enough, it showed up on the machine that I had a thyroid problem. And so these radioactive isotopes are coming from the Japanese nuclear plant. And they're spewing, they're calling it our second sun. So we all need to be cleaning up our thyroids. So, and you're going to be talking about that
In January.
in January. So just know we're going to try and have these talks every Wednesday, and hopefully educate everybody, because you can't really know what's going on until you educate yourself, because you're not going to learn it on TV. So hormonal and thyroid dysfunction, diabetes, autism, hyperactivity, obesity, metabolic syndrome, it's all due to the stuff we're exposed to every day, and our kids are exposed to, and the immunizations we're exposed to. Poor cell signaling, autoimmune chemical sensitivity. A lot of this is due to the cell membranes on every one of our cells have artificial petrochemical hormone, and they actually attach to the receptor site and they don't let go. They stay there. And so luckily Systemic Formulas came out with some products that will actually pull those off. But you got to make sure you don't just pull them off and then let them circulate in the body, then reattach. You want to pull them off and have them get eliminated from your body through using products that actually will help your organs of elimination pull these out of the body. So chronic inflammatory diseases cause cancer and early death, and our doctors are treating it. We were talking about this earlier, how the doctors are treating it with anti-inflammatories, and they call them non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, because steroids are given to people when they don't know what else to do, and they do reduce inflammation and make you feel better for a time. Donna got a shot of steroid in her hip because her hip was hurting. Well, 6 months later, she comes in and she's saying, "Scott, my hip's killing me." And, you know, saying that word is not good because you're contributing to the pain, but the steroid wore off and now the inflammation's back. But the problem with steroids is they don't allow the tissues to heal and can actually cause them to degenerate quicker. So I don't recommend anybody to get steroid shots because they actually cause degeneration of your bones and tissues.
Is cortisone one of those?
Yes. Any kind of steroid.
So what are we doing in place? Is that the DMS?
Well, that's what we're going to talk about.
Scott?
Go ahead.
When I was about 34 years old, I ended up with a rash on the back of my leg, and I finally went to a dermatologist, and he said, "Well, that's annular granuloma, and this is the only thing that will stop that. We
Yeah.
don't know what causes it." And he didn't even ask. He pulled a needle out and shot my leg about 40 times with cortisone.
Yeah.
In 2 years, I had melanoma there.
Oh, yeah.
And when I asked you about, oh no, there's no relationship.
Oh, there's total relationship, because those steroids suppressed your immune system, allowing cells that weren't necessarily good, and also probably turned on the cancer cells.
Yeah.
You know, so there's definite correlation. I was exposed to radiation when I was an intern, and within a year I had malignant melanoma. And so there's a definite correlation between these things that cause cancers and other things. So proper nutrition, can prevent most causes of disease. Juicing helps with absorption. I believe in the Bruce juice, so that you don't just use a regular emulsifying blender. You want one that breaks down the cell walls, so you get those internal juices from the plants, and they're much better for you. Decreasing and cleansing toxins and chemicals from your body, turning on and cleansing the organs of elimination, healing at the cellular level. Foster love, forgiveness, gratitude in your life. My two kids were driving Vicki nuts because she was doing everything for them, and they'd sit there and they'd let her do it. So we had a big conversation last night that mom's not happy. And when mom's not happy, dad becomes not happy. And so we're going to be fostering love and forgiveness and having those kids do more for themselves instead of having Vicki do it all and making her angry, because they get real lazy, little suckers. Oh, it's crazy. So, and we have to treat them with kindness. Treating everything and everyone with kindness is very good to decrease inflammation. Okay. 5 R's of cellular healing is remove the source of the toxin and then regenerate the cell membrane. Get rid of these things off the cell membrane. Restore the cellular energy, the mitochondria, reduce the inflammation, reestablish methylation. Methylation is something where in the liver we have glutathione, and when it's methylated, it can actually attach to a toxin, carry it down into the bile, and then you remove it. But you want to bind that bile, and so they made a product called Bind, which actually binds all the bile and the toxins in your colon and carries them out in your stool. But that glutathione, once it releases the toxin, it releases it with the methyl group. And so you have to remethylate the glutathione so it can go back and get another toxin. And we're talking about microscopic stuff, miniature stuff, but every little particle helps that you detox from your body. So helping methylate the glutathione, what helps methylate that is B vitamins, methyl groups. So, B vitamins, especially B12. And so we like using a lot of this Ultra B12. We store a lot of toxins in our fat. In fact, they've shown people who lose weight, their toxic level goes up because they've stored all of this stuff. And so people who lose weight, you really want to help them methylate and get the stuff out of their body. Okay. Now this is a very old slide because now we're eating about 180 pounds of sugar per person in the United States. It's ridiculous. We're eating our weight in sugar, and it's causing a lot of problems. Junk food consumption has increased drastically. Pizza is one of the most common foods every family eats, and yet pizza is carbohydrates which turn into sugar. And it's sad because the environmental toxins are recorded highest levels on the globe ever. Infertility is at the highest levels ever. When I was an OBGYN, about 5% of the population was infertile, and it was mainly due to STDs. Now 30% of young women are infertile. That's due to all the environmental toxins. So we want to energetically, nutritionally normalize function of the cells at a cellular level, and we can actually rebuild our body. They have found we replace every cell in our body every 7 years. Isn't that interesting? Every cell of your body. So if we're thinking we're getting older, in 7 years we'll have gotten older. If we put the thoughts to ourselves to get younger, what do you think is going to happen in 7 years? If you keep doing it, you're going to get younger.
That's why I keep saying I'm 25.
That's right. That's right. That's a good thought. Now, supporting enzymes. They found over the age of 40, we're only producing 50% of the enzymes that our pancreas and liver creates at the age of 20. And so taking enzymes as you're older is really helpful, or restoring function to your liver and pancreas. is real important. And that's what I'm trying to do currently. Well, excuse me, that's what I am doing currently. See, I've got to watch what I say. Don't say I'm trying to do it. Say I am doing it. I am. That's the most powerful statement you can ever make. When Moses asked God, "Who are you?" What did he say? I am that I am. Isn't that interesting? Oh, makes my hair on my arm stand up. But as we say, I am healthy, you start creating that health. So very important. Clearing emotional trauma with energy healers and meditation. I showed this slide about the body being a circle, and we can slow down that process of coming into our winter. We can stay in our spring and summer and harvest longer and avoid the aging, because inflammation causes aging. And so I already showed this slide. Okay, eating only high quality organic food, cleansing, blessing the air you breathe, cleanse and bless the water and fluids you drink, cleanse and bless your home and environment you work and live in. We're building a house. Let me tell you, the primary reason we are building this house is to get away from all the toxins our neighbors spray in their yards every month. Every month I watch the guys come out and they're spraying and spraying and spraying. We're surrounded by 5 homes that are constantly spraying, and across the street they're spraying. One day I came out and this little girl's following the guy spraying the pesticides around, and she's 2 years old, and I'm going, where is your mother to protect you from this pesticides? I mean, literally. They didn't dilute them enough at a home up in Salt Lake, and the kids died because they were just too toxic. And I look at these things, and the other reason is we've got a huge transmitter that's pretty close to us, and those have been shown to cause cancer and inflammation. And so,
have you got any good ideas for bugs in this area?
For what?
The bugs?
Well, I use
Cockroaches?
number one, chickens are probably the best to remove bugs.
Yeah, your house.
It's so interesting. When we put our chickens out at Adam's farm, I would go out there and there was just bugs all over heck. And now I go out there and there's hardly any bugs, because the chickens keep it under control. Well, guess what? In St. George, you can have 6 chickens within the city limits. You can't have a rooster though, but you can have chickens, and I think they're the best at getting rid of all the bugs. They really are. I don't know if Washington City allows you to have chickens, do they?
I think, yeah.
Because they had to pass a resolution through St. George.
Yeah, no rooster, but chicken.
The stuff I use to spray my trees and house and everything, I use a mixture of soap, citronella, tobacco. Believe it or not, I've always got chewing tobacco in a jar with some alcohol, getting the constituents to go into an extract, and I pour that into my mix. And bugs hate tobacco. It's a natural insect repellent.
You spray that around your cupboards?
Yeah, I spray it around the whole house. It keeps the ants out, it keeps everything out. But I spray my fruit trees with it too, because it keeps the bugs off of my fruits and vegetables. And it's natural. It's all natural and non-toxic, which is wonderful. Well, maybe the tobacco.
Write that down and send it out.
Well, there's a lot of that information out there on the internet.
Yes.
Guys that do that very thing.
Yes. And it works.
And it's all natural stuff.
All natural. All I had to do was buy one of those pump sprayers, and I dumped. Beer. Believe it or not, beer is one of the things I put in there. But get a good organic beer if you can find it.
One of the things we use for our gardens is, especially tomatoes, is stems. We go out and get branches of creosote.
Yes.
Put it next to your tomato.
Oh, bugs hate creosote. You know what creosote is, right? It's the chaparral. that grows around here, just
Yeah.
all over the place. Our new property has chaparral growing all around it. It's very cool, very cool.
You can make tea out of that and spray it on your.
Yeah, it also
You'll
kills
see
cancer.
that's right.
Spread it around your tomatoes? No, I've never
Well,
heard
a
of that.
stem, just put a big stem that's gonna be tall like tomatoes. And then we make tea out of it to spray on like a squash, and then you
Pretty
just see those
nasty
buds
tea, though,
red.
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, creosote bush is
Yeah.
really good, and
I love
it's
it smelling.
it's anti-cancer too. You make the tea and it reduces
Is
inflammation.
that sage? That's not
No,
sage.
no, I'm sure.
No. It's one of the most
Creosote
dangerous
is called
plants on
chaparral.
earth.
Yeah, and you can't even buy it in Pilgrim anymore.
Not anymore. The FDA banned it because it was curing too many people's cancer.
They used it for cancer.
Yeah.
Not
Oh.
anymore, you get oil.
Oh, it's crazy.
Well, I bet they used to.
Yeah, but now you don't get to know that.
Protein and nutrients, very important. We always sprout our beans. You know, I've got a story about beans. In Puerto Rico, when they brought the slaves over, they would make them pick the sugar cane and do all the harvesting and all the different things. And all of them were becoming very, very sick because the sugar cane didn't have any nutrients per se. It had some, but not enough. And so, and this was back in the 1700s. So they brought beans in and added beans to the diet of all these people, and guess what happened? They got the proteins they needed. Now, the one thing that helps beans even be better for you is sprouting them. So let them soak for 24 hours, pour off the water, rinse them, and then start cooking them because they're sprouted within 24 hours. So.
And that oxygen stuff, right there, the box oxygen.
Oh, yes, yes. Food grade hydrogen peroxide keeps the bad bacteria away from them. And so you can also add that when you're doing sprouting if you're worried about contamination and stuff. Vicky leaves lids off of everything for too long. I'll come home and the milk's sitting out without the lid on and peanut butter or whatever, you know. So put your lids on because contaminants are in the air. And we have the highest levels of fungal spores and molds in our air ever recorded now. They keep track of these things because people are having all the allergies they have. And more allergies because we have more spores and fungus, because not only are we getting more spores and fungus in our body, but our planet has more spores and fungus. We actually have a layer around the entire planet now of about ½ an inch of spores and fungus. It's kind of interesting. Okay, so let's go on. I want to talk about, before we get done, on here, if you want some products that really help with inflammation, and you know, go to page 4. And on the bottom it starts talking about how to treat inflammation at its source naturally. Focus on eating a healthy diet's #1, and get plenty of omega-3 fats. And when they say animal-based, I prefer fish. Now, grass-fed organic beef actually has good omega-3s. So if you can find it, great. It's actually good for you. Okay, optimize your insulin levels. Now, insulin is interesting. When they talk about insulin, insulin's actually a hormone. It does more than get the sugars into the cells. They actually found that people with really high insulin levels tend to be angrier and more obstinate, more controlling. So if your husband is all those things and he's got a lot of sugar and high insulin levels, get him to get off sugars, because that'll help more than anything to optimize the insulin levels. All of us are running around with insulin levels that are probably double or triple what they were for people 100 years ago. They actually found that our pancreas weighed about 250 grams in autopsies at the end of the 19th century. So around the year 1900, insulin was not a problem. And then the sugar revolution came in. Our pancreases are 3 to 4 times bigger than they were in our ancestors because of all the sugar, because
You look
we
back at old
compensated.
pictures that people post on the internet.
Yeah.
Back in the early 90s, they're all thin.
Yeah.
I've never seen fat people back then.
No,
My dad said they got a couple of pieces of hardtack at Christmas. That was their candy.
Yep, that's about all you got. Exercise has been shown to lower inflammation through natural steroid production, through natural getting the inflammation out through the circulation. So moving our bodies is really good for us. Smoking tends to be very bad for causing inflammation, and it's mainly due to all the stuff they put in the tobacco. The tobacco today is 10 times stronger than it was 50 years ago because they add stuff to it to addict you. Okay. Make sure your waist size is normal. When I got cancer, my waist size was a 40 hanging over a 42. And currently I'm down to a 34, which is much better for my heart, for everything. So keeping your waistline smaller is really good. And that includes women. Healthy outlets for stress and negative emotions. Optimize your vitamin D levels, and they've also found that vitamin K affects inflammation. I was reading an article about fibromyalgia. They did a study in women with fibromyalgia, which is chronic inflammatory disease, and they found 65% of them were so low on their vitamin D they couldn't even measure the level. So getting your vitamin D, getting out in the sun, raising that. Vitamin K is also very good for inflammation and lowering those levels. So,
Where do you get K? What,
Right here.
yeah, vitamin K, my favorite product that has vitamin K and D in is this one because it tastes good, and so you like to take it. And the thing that makes it taste good in here is stevia.
but is it a
Stevia.
vegetable or something?
This
Where
is
do
a
they-
vegetable form, vitamin D, vitamin K.
You can even get your kids that. It tastes
I love
good.
this stuff. And
What would
Chloe,
Is there a food that
Food
source them?
Yeah.
yeah, these are the best food source for D and K is spinach, kale, the dark leafy vegetables. So if you're not getting plenty of those, now to get enough vitamin D, you have to eat literally a big bag of spinach a day.
But for K?
Yeah, for K. And for vitamin D, you have to get a big bag. So all of us are a little bit deficient. And you have to be living south of Phoenix to get enough in the sun. And you have to be out in the sun.
Wow.
And everybody's telling us don't go out in the sun.
Right, Madison, and be sure you put on all your sunscreen.
Yep.
It's all the chemicals.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, let's look at these herbs down at the bottom. These have been found to be excellent anti-inflammatory herbs. Boswellia, and if you got a pen, write down the dose. Boswellia comes in a 250 milligram capsule. Now, do you know where Boswellia comes from? Frankincense tree. It's the tree that makes frankincense oil. Well, it's a very holy tree, and it's really good for cutting out inflammation. You have to take 500 milligrams twice a day minimum. So 2 capsules twice a day.
Hold on, I gotta give her a
Yeah, I
pen.
have
Just
to
do
write
it with
that.
the oil, if you put it on you, does that help?
Frankincense does, the oil does help. It's got very, if you put a mixture, they've actually done a recent study that showed if you put frankincense and myrrh on your joints, it'll take out the pain and the inflammation. Fascinating. So,
Scott, did you say 500 milligrams a day?
500 milligrams twice a day. You do it morning and evening.
Of what?
Of Boswellia. Okay, let's go to bromelain. Bromelain is a really nice little enzyme, and they've got this QBC complex, which has quercetin, bromelain, and vitamin C complex, and this has been shown to get rid of allergies, inflammation, and joint pain. So this QBC plex, and the amount of bromelain in this is quite small. It's only 50 milligrams, but it's got 1,800 active units, so it's really good. This one is quercetin with bromelain. You know, all the companies put these out, and they've even got one that's just plain bromelain. And I recommend this for the effect of the anti-inflammation. You only need 500 milligrams twice a day, just like Boswellia. So this is 1 twice a day. This one's 2 twice a day because this is only 250 milligrams. But the plain bromelain, 500 milligrams twice a day. And they have chewable bromelain from pineapple, and it's cheap. This is $4, and it's got, it only has 50 micrograms of bromelain. So this one's actually $14, and you only need 1 twice a day. This one I'd chew up at least 6 twice a day, at least. Okay,
How much
ginger.
pineapple do you have to eat?
You'd have to eat 2 pineapples a day
Oh.
to get the same amount of bromelain. And pineapples are good for you if you can get organic pineapple. It's virtually really hard to find good organic pineapple. Okay, the next thing, ginger. Oh, I got to find my ginger. And you can use ginger oil, but anyway, ginger oil about 1 drop twice a day will do the job. If you find the herb ginger, about 500 milligrams twice a day, about the same dose. Okay, resveratrol, they found the best dose is 200, let's see, I can't remember if it's micrograms or milligrams. Okay. The resveratrol, 200 milligrams a day. So if you can find a product, and you only have to take it once a day, which is cool. And I recommend people to take all of these because they all have different pathways. And the resveratrol turns off the cancer genes, turns off the bad genes. We turn them on through sugar and inflammation, and we can turn them off with resveratrol. So I recommend people take this every day if you want to keep from getting cancer. Okay, evening primrose is a good omega-6 oil. And omega-6s and omega-3s have a balance. And you want to get about equal amounts of each. And so I recommend, 1,000 milligrams twice a day of both of them. And those are really good. Now, turmeric, tulsi, as you know, is what? Holy basil. Right? Persimmon. This stuff. Yeah. This is tulsi. And I recommend 500 milligrams of each of those. Now, if you have more inflammation, take more. But most of us, by changing our diet, getting rid of the sugars, we can take less of these because we'll reduce our inflammation through our diet. And so, does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, how do you do kinesiology?
My favorite way of teaching people kinesiology is having you, through your intent, tell your body what you want it to do. What I tell people is move me toward what's good for me. If it's a yes, move me forward. If it's bad for me, move me away from it. Because you'll actually go to a store and you'll go, whoa, maybe I should go in this store. That's what happens to me. Because I've told my body to do this. And every day, practice. I go stand in front of the vegetables and I'll test. And a lot of times, none of them test any good because they've got too many pesticides and herbicides. So, I'll give you an example. Okay, do I need vitamin D? Okay, my body goes forward. Is this the best vitamin D for me? My body moves forward. So I don't need to look at any other product. So, and you can dose it. Okay, how many droppers full do I need a day? 1, 2, half a dropper full. How many times a day? 2 times a day. Your body will you can actually do your dosing this way. And you just hold it. And a lot of people, they like to hold it next to their heart chakra. I don't think it matters. You can look at it with your eyes you can just visualize it in your head. Not even have the product. You just visualize it in your head. Okay, is this vitamin D good for me? And you feel your body move forward. You don't have to be there. Our bodies, our soul extends throughout the universe. And so you can create things throughout the universe through your thoughts. So we got to watch what our thoughts are. Does that help? And it's very easy. You can stand in front of this door outside and say, is there something in here that I'm supposed to take? You know, I visualize myself standing out in front of the door, and I get, yeah, there's stuff I need to take in here. A lot of people say to me, oh, Scott, you can create whatever you want. Yes, we can. But I like little crutches to help me. And by doing some of the herbs, it just helps remind me, okay, I need to be conscious and healthy and thank the planet for producing all this good stuff, you know.
I test books. Is there something in here I need?
Yes. Yeah, why
Say-
waste your
say
time
you're
reading a book?
some time if it's not anything you need.
Oh, yeah, where was I? Last night I was somewhere and there was a whole bunch